Okay, welcome to the 11th day of January 2022. This is my Good Life meditation. My name is Kurt. I do this every day to remind myself of my guiding principles, to review yesterday, and to plan for the coming day. Let's do this. Yesterday, just another average day in terms of work. Really pleased with the hard day of work that I gave it. It's interesting to be working from home. I think I'm more diligent about my time and more efficient with my time now than I was when I would go to the office. You know, it would be so easy through the day to simply, watch a video in the course of work, or a non-work related video, or come sit in my chair, read a book, extend my break, to go for a long lunch. Yet I frankly do none of those things. And if you take that and then you also cut out the social factor that would normally happen at work, and I didn't do those things when I was at work either. I've always been very focused, but when you're at work, sometimes there's social things that go on. The social element. I mean, but you could burn a good deal of time every day just chit chat. Water cooler chit chat, and all that's gone. I'm confident I'm a lot more efficient. Wow. So I'm pleased with that. It means a lot to me to give my employer a good day's work. Yesterday I was the first day I took a night hike without a flashlight. We've got a quarter moon. Is it waxing or waning? What is it? Oh, it's waxing, really, coming on strong. And coming on, it'll be full next week, I think. So I took the dogs for a walk after work. And after that, I took them home and I decided to go for a night hike. I had my flashlight, but I kept it in my pocket, my backpack, actually. And I climbed Mount Fortitude, and then I went into the near wilderness behind Mount Fortitude, just kind of picking my way over the landscape in the dark. And I do think that this is definitely an area where there could be mountain lions. The landscape, the environment here, close to big mountains, forested mountains. But I think that the spot that I'm in, though pretty big, it's an island, wilderness island. I don't think there's any mountain lions back there, but still, that was on my mind. Plus, people. It's close enough to people to be a little bit scary. I don't have to worry about either of those things hiking out by Siberia, where it's too dry and distant for mountain lions or any large predators. Coyote, not even coyotes. I think fox are the biggest thing that might be out there that deep. I've never seen a coyote that deep out. I've seen a couple of fox. But the point is, I kept good control of even though I was afraid in the dark last night, I kept good control of myself. I kept a good steady pace on my walking, kept my breathing measured, and my senses alert. Just the way that I should be throughout life. Had a nice evening with the family. We had a good dinner, a good talk. Enjoyed that. And then I went to bed on time, and I got a full night's sleep. So, all in all, pretty good. And I really completed a lot of work, like I said. I've almost completed lesson 3 in my training manual. I think I can wrap that up early this morning, and then maybe even closing on finishing the document, the first draft today. That would be nice. Okay, let's do this. My 7 objectives in life are to be always in a condition where I'm ready to die should my life suddenly come to an end, even if I can see it coming in the last moments. To be in a position where, like some of those who went down with the Titanic, to do so with an acceptance and a balance and a sobriety as the ship goes down. With my affairs in order, all my love yous said, and my mission, if not complete, at least well underway. Next is the good use of my time, to not waste my days or waste my life. Then is the development of good life objectives and principles, and to maintain these, which is exactly what I do through this daily exercise of recounting and considering my objectives and principles. I also wish to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become a man who can, again, weather life and weather it well. I would like to recognize the things that are outside of my ability and those things that are within my ability, my capability, and to let go of the first and embrace the latter, especially those that I actually want to do. And then to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately, and with a strong and deliberate concerted effort. Pardon me. Those are my 7 objectives. My 30 principles, then, which are the things that I do to achieve those objectives, is to, first of all, to be always fighting against everything that I think is true, so that I don't suffer long the maintenance of things that are not true by careful scrutiny and the use of logic, the use of reason, and being honest, objective, and skeptical of what I believe is true. That's how I will enact that effort. I'll use my reason as my guide to determine what is true. I also think that my consciousness won't stay with me. It's going to die along with me. And there will be no hereafter. And that my consciousness exists like a little man sticking out of a rock, or standing upon a rock sticking out of the ocean, suffering the elements, and struggling to keep from slipping in the water, or from losing his mind and footing. I call that little perch in the sea the Anchorhold. Another principle is the idea that good and evil are not absolutes in the universe, but simply opinions that we hold, that we develop and hold, or we acquire from others and hold, and hold. And that the holding is tentative and tenuous and subject to revision, depending upon where we lived in the time that we were born, and how we choose to live our lives. Not permanent. I also maintain that my purpose in life is first, to be a good husband and father, to raise my daughter to adulthood successfully. Pardon me. To second, be a virtuous person, pursuing the well-being of others, particularly creatures that think, and to pursue some mission in life. And for me, that is my books, namely Going Alone. I think that life is made of creatures that are composed of bits and pieces, atoms and molecules, and that very soon these will dissolve away, especially after we die. And there'll be no trace left of us. And then after a few generations, that'll be gone too. All memory of us. I think that everything has some nature, and that it's good to recognize what that nature is, and to abide it and live according to it. I can think of a thing at work I'm working on right now where I simply have to recognize the nature of a circumstance related to work, and work around that, work with it. I think maturity is a trait that comes from wisdom coupled with fortitude, the lessons learned in life, and the strength to pursue those things which were successful, and to avoid that which was unsuccessful or a mistake. The pirate ride is an idea that no free will, that we don't have any free will, that although it appears that we're making choices on our own, the universe has nudged us in so many ways towards every decision we ever make. And those are the only decisions that we could ever have made, given the long chain of events that have preceded our every decision and choice. The social principle suggests that we are social animals, and that we need others, and that our lives are better if we connect with and spend our lives with other people. It's also good that we can control our speaking and use our words carefully, very deliberate words, and never ever gossiping about others, namely talking about others in a way that we would be embarrassed or ashamed if they overheard us. Temperance is the principle of controlling our consumption in life, of reducing our footprint and reducing our appetites, or if not our appetites, our actual base consumption of food, drink, work, play, everything. And we suffer when we do that because we want and we say no. And we live a simple life if we live a temperate life. And we apply apathy to recognize that which is outside of our control and to simply let it be. Life is chock full of horror, just astonishingly terrible things. What was that? I heard somebody knocking. Chock full of horror. Exhibit A. What is that knocking in this big house? Not horror, but just kind of a fearfulness. Maybe it was outside. I think it was outside. Somebody, maybe a neighbor. I'll keep it close ear on. So life is chock full of horror. So we have to, but yet, in spite of that horror, and maybe because of it, we have to bear it. Not just the horror, but also just the burden of life, the hard job that we have to work, and the difficult circumstance related to our relationships, the requirements of our society, the taxes we must pay, everything. We just have to bear it and keep our hand on the tiller, steady towards the aim, keeping an eye on that star that we're sailing towards. I guess I shouldn't worry. If it was actually tapping related to this house, these two dogs would be going nuts. Good dogs. During life, it seems like we spend so much time distracting ourselves from something we don't want to see. We do this with our work, and our families and our hobbies. Whatever we can do, even the stuff we hate, even the horror, anything to not see what I call the great indifference, the deep emptiness of the universe, the universe without any apparent oversight or guidance or supervisory management, no God, in short, where we are kind of left on our own with just one another. We don't want to see that, so we mask that with our busy lives. I want to live in such a way that I'm okay with where I am right now and who I am and what I'm doing. Whatever I'm doing, whatever that is. It's making this place that I'm in right now the best seat in the house. Even if that seat is an uncomfortable one or a deadly one. We'll try to get out of those, but in the meantime, make them all right. As the Stoic would. What a trick that is. The Path of Wildness suggests that we can proceed out of our current circumstance by collecting facts about the direction we want to go, thinking about them, and then making an informed and deliberate choice. And if we need to, we can weigh our gut feeling, our first inclination towards about that option into the thinking, and then go from there. It may not be the best direction, but sometimes any direction is better than the stagnation. I call that the path of wildness. The risk of avoiding risk suggests that there's different categories of challenge in life. There's the challenge of the safe and sane, education, spouse, home, family, saving for retirement. And then there's a deep challenge of getting in touch with ourselves and making something of our lives that we can rest with satisfaction in the old age home. That's something different from the home and the family, etc. Because for some of us, that's not quite enough, which just seems to be a fact. I expect that once we're dead, there's no life after death. I don't think we have a soul. And I think, therefore, that when we're dead, we'll never see those that we loved in life again. And as a result, we'll never have a chance to make up with anybody if we left on bad terms. And there will be no application of justice after death, because there's none of us left after death. So we better work on those things in the here and now while we have a chance. It's also good to have some sort of great life adventure in our life, to be the centerpiece of who we are. This harkens back to that earlier idea of the risk, of the deep and the shallow risk. If we do that in our 20s, it's a good time. We can get our education, have some adventures for a few years, and then come back in early adulthood, in the 30s, in early maturity, to settle into the heavy stuff. Have that great life adventure, something to be the centerpiece of our lives, and do it while we're young and better able to recover. If we do that, and we live well, then it's likely we might have something to say. And a little voice might start whispering in our ears, our inner ear. Buzz, 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 buzz. Some wisdom or some observation. I call that the season of philosophy. And an important thing to remember is that those whispering words are fleeting. They'll come and then they'll be gone. And we'll never get them back if we don't write them down while they're happening at whatever age. Sometimes when we strive for things, we hit them just the way we wanted to. Square bullseye. But usually we're off the mark. It's helpful to remember that. Life is also like climbing a mountain. Steady steps upward. Kind of a struggle and very fatiguing along the way. But every step higher, the view just gets better. But for what end? I don't know. It's a worthwhile climb. Life is like an arena where we get a chance to live for a few years and develop and execute some principles along the way to maybe leave this place a little bit better, tidier, cleaner, more in order than before we arrived. And what a good life that'll be if we do that one thing. I'm reminded that getting by with and desiring less sometimes offers us so much more. Nothing is sometimes. Plenty, just enough. And then I want to remember to have fun, to not be so serious all the damn time. Maybe even at work a little bit, to take a break, sit down in my chair, rest a little bit, maybe a little longer than I should on my break. Just to keep myself healthy and energized. I really don't like that. I said it that way, but I don't like that. I don't like getting paid and not working hard, so I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is after work, I'm going to have more fun. If it's not too late for me to figure that out. Okay, now let's talk about the coming day. I have just 2 meetings today, and a pretty clear path to finish, as I said, the training manual. Should be a pretty straightforward day. Things are pretty simple with this new life. I like it. Oh, one thing that I am kind of struggling with a little bit is that this is the perfect week for me to go to Siberia, the day after tomorrow. And will I do that? I said yesterday that I want to avoid further consumption of the black pill. You know, the pill of nihilism. One leads to the dark perspective of life. But at the same time, going to Siberia does me good. And I do have a project that I want to work on, which is namely to continue recording going alone in audio format. It's awfully tempting. Tomorrow, a latest version of Going Alone should arrive. I have some people I need to send it to. And I could take a copy out there with me and start in on chapter 1 to make the audio book in earnest. Wouldn't that be awesome? I could do that. Will I? Recent history and experience has shown that the answer is probably no. Something about the Siberia days seems to be done. Maybe I should find something else. I'll continue to reflect on that. And I'll be okay with whatever I decide. But I need something. I need something to continue some great life adventures, even if they're tiny little ones every other week. Okay, with that I'll stop. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe.